Hey guys, I'm here to bring you this video, kind of just following what I did previously in my previous video. It should be the previous video unless I somehow delay this by a long shot, which was me installing the supercharger or just kind of showing a lapse of time, which took me quite a few, mainly because I had to run around trying to find a 22mm freaking bolt adapter so I can pull out the bolt that's at the main pulley so I can put on the supercharger pulley. That was a fun time. Anyways, after installing that supercharger, I actually was working with a tuner that was trying to get me tuned. He gave me a base tune, worked on it a little bit, but then I had to switch tuners, mainly because I ran into issues or lack of communication is what we're gonna go with from either side, me or him. Communication wasn't very well. So what I worked to is I went and reached out to Good Speed Performance, which is also here located in Arizona. If you're in the Phoenix area, they're a great company. I've never met people as friendly as them. They know what they're talking about most of the whole time, not most of the time, the whole time. And their knowledge is great and they communicate it very well. But I just go off track here. But reached out to Good Speed Performance, and then they started the tune. So I bought a license for EcuTek. I got the EcuTek programming kit. They set me up on that. They used my license key, set up the vehicle, and ran the first tune. After running that first tune on the new supercharged BRZ, they noticed a couple of things that needed to be changed. One, I had to change injectors. My injectors were maxing out, so I was maxed out at an RPM of 6850. Only because injectors were maxed out. It could go higher, but it's not going to say gas is going to make it to the engine or enough gas is going to be there for it when the piston ignites. Secondly, the supercharger, which I'm using, is a C3891 Rotrex, which is supposed to make 14 pounds of boost with the pulley that comes with the Kraftwerks supercharger kit. That was actually making 16 pounds of boost. This is actually being caused by the headers being stuck. So basically I'm getting back pressure off the 14 pounds of boost, which is backfiring back into the piston and everything, and a couple other areas, which is causing 16 pounds of boost, which is awesome to hear, but bad. It means something is blocking and there's a clog, so anything that really needs to get out doesn't mean it's really getting out. You can do this. It might just ruin the headers over time and other things, but you can run it like that if you really want to, and I did for a little bit. The next thing that we noticed is we probably need to do a catch can kit. With this amount of boost, the oil wasn't really separating from the air and etc. So what a catch can does is it's an oil separator. And it separates the oil from anything it's attached to when it goes through, so that it doesn't like just sit on your pistons or it sits in your headers and damages any of them. So we got that installed, but I still needed headers and injectors. The one thing that I just left off is we had the flex fuel kit. We had that installed at the same time they did the tuning for it. Flex fuel kit was used to do readings, so I can do E54, E85, and run 91 at the same time depending on where I'm at. So after that we got the first tune. The first tune I was making 290 wheel horsepower up to 6890, up to 6850 RPM. Great gains, especially on the amount of boost I'm pushing through, and over the stock it's great. Stock I was making 178, so I already had 100 horsepower gain plus some. The one thing is we also did the 91 dyno did also, so I was making 230 horsepower. So that right there is another 50 wheel horsepower gain over what I had stock before the supercharger. Great gains. So I had to reach out and get new headers and all this other stuff. So I reached out. We went with the headers, JDL Unequal. Basically, the company's called JDL Auto Design. They make headers for the FT86. I got the unequal headers, 2.5 diameter, and then I got an OverPipe, which is a 2.5 diameter. But I didn't change out your actual muffler or your catback, your catalytic area. I left that in because it doesn't really change much. It's not needed. Most of my issue was at the front in the headers. My OverPipe catted and resonated. Doesn't change much, but if you have it resonated and catted, it kind of lowers down the sound, which is kind of what I'm aiming for, especially when you live in a high density area of people and you had to get to work at 6 in the morning. You don't want to hear the and wake everybody up in my ear. That's at least my take on it. So we got that. We got the injectors. Injectors are from Injector Dynamics. They're ID 1050X's. So right now with the new tune that they finally finished, and my car is now officially finished and using the supercharger to the best of its efficiency right now. They're only using actually about up to I think 45% of their capacity. So I can actually run more boost and probably rebuild the engine and still use the same injectors. They're great injectors and they have a great warranty on them. And they shouldn't go bad. It's what I've been provided. They should not go bad. They're really good. So after I got all that installed and then we got it retuned, this time they actually retuned it on E85 from E54 from the previous tune. Since the previous tune had other issues, they didn't want to force too much onto it. And my injectors were maxing out. Kind of makes plenty of sense. So now we run it on E85. Everything's installed. So we have the catch can installed, we have the new headers, we have the injectors installed, we have a flex fuel kit, and we have a supercharger. So that's 5 mods to my car that I've done. Please be aware, 4 of them were done after the supercharger. Not the brightest idea. Anyways, after that got done, we tuned it on E85. We're making that was gonna be down. We're making 344 wheel horsepower on 14 pounds of boost on E85 with the new injectors and headers and everything else. Now with E91 on E85, we're doing great. So if you ever try to compare E85 with E54, think about, I'd say aim for 15 to about 25 horsepower loss. So I'm probably making about, I'm just gonna go low and say 335 or 330, or is that right? No, sorry, 325 or 330 wheel horsepower on E54 over E85. Not a big difference, but you won't really feel that. So most of the time you don't feel the difference unless it's about a 10 to, if it's more than a 15% power gain, but most likely it needs to be about a 20% power gain to actually feel the difference of the new car. So now we have 91, which since we have a flex fuel kit, it needs to be tuned for both so that you can switch back and forth. Doing long distances, you're gonna go 91. If you're going to the drags or having fun, you're gonna probably go E54 or E85. But 91, I'm making about 266 wheel horsepower. So to give that into perspective, stock, I'm making 178 wheel horsepower is what I did on their dyno. Since I kept on going to the same dyno, it should be pretty consistent to some extent other than the temperature of that day, especially here in Arizona. 178 wheel horsepower stock, okay? That's using a Stage 1 tune from a different tuner that's called OpenFlash Tablet. Now with a real tune with the supercharger from a good speed performance using EcuTek, I'm now making up to 344 wheel horsepower on E85. Right there, I already gained almost 100, I think that's almost 100%, yeah, a little bit less than 100% power gain off of what I had originally, which is great for this car, it's light. But then to put into perspective on 91, so 91 was the 178 wheel horsepower. So 91 now with the supercharger installed is 266 or 260? 266 wheel horsepower. Right there is still a good 80 power gain. Right there, you're gonna feel that. That change is awesome, immediate, and basically linear with the supercharger. So the one thing that you need to be aware of is I went with a supercharger only because I wanted a linear gain. So normally, if you ever look at a stock BRZ dyno, you're gonna see the line just go. There's a dip. That dip I was trying to remove. The reason for the supercharger is I want that power gain to be consistent going up, which is shown in basically the new tunes, which is awesome because you don't see a flat line. So just kind of put that in perspective. If I can get this to appear, you'll see that the line is actually more consistent. And I'll try to blow this up with an edit, but that line is just, it's no dip. There's no dip, which normally set between about 2,500 RPM to, well, can't say 25, about 28. Well, it usually started at 37, but you really felt it, honestly, after you drive it so long. You really felt it at 2,800, but the dip usually occurred at about 3,200 RPM all the way up to about 41, 42, and then you start feeling that power gain, which shakes a few because you just did an arc down, and at about 42, you might be out of that dip, but you need that power to gain back up. So once you hit higher RPM, you actually start feeling it. So those are the mods I did. So for those looking in perspective of doing these mods to your car, especially if you're going to go for the Kraftwerks, and maybe you go down the same route as me, and I'm done including the tuning that I needed. And I don't know if I got a discount or if that's the normal tuning or however that all works out, because they worked awesome on me. They were always straightforward with me, so just going off of it, prices might vary from place to place and everything, but overall, supercharger kit, $4,500. Okay, so that's $4,500. I'm just doing a rough estimate. I think it was 46 actually, but I'm gonna say 45 because the other parts will be added in, and then I'll probably just round up off of that. So $4,500 for the Kraftwerks kit I got for a supercharger. Now for the parts. So these parts include the catch can, flex fuel kit, headers, overpipe, and injectors. So that's five things I need to get added to the car. That reached about 5,000 right there, just in those parts, and that's also included tuning that was needed for those devices. Actually, it was actually $5,500 worth. So right there, you're looking at about 10 grand in mods for this car. But anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you get kind of a perspective of how much kind of things cost whenever you start modding your car, especially for those first timers and where they're looking. If you have buddies, they probably can hook you up to some extent or help you out, especially if somebody knows how to weld and all that. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope to see you guys again, and I hope to make some better videos hopefully in the future that you guys can enjoy. Have a good one, guys. Oh, well, this thing's going. Man, you don't know how many times I try recording this and I can't do it correctly at all. Mainly because I go on a tangent and I do it. But anyways, that being stupid, I'd be much happier. Take 4.